got troubles, but they wash away. Yeah, because they're gonna wash away. They're gonna wash away. I forgot.
It's called "Wash Away" by Joe Purdy.
I forgot that they did that for like
a handful,
15 episodes, maybe 10,
till the batteries run out.
It's a really good bit. Because I remember thinking, I was like, oh, man, like, it's a really cool way to end the episode in, like, a poignant way. And I remember being like, I wonder when those batteries are going to run out. And then it does one time, and it's fun.
Pretty good.
It's more fun. I'm remembering now. I actually don't remember a lot of it because I had forgotten. So it's like I had memories of Kate in Australia, but I forgot what the plot was. Like I forgot she was the criminal and all of that. But
and I'm Kristen.
Sure. They know who we are. But this is the first like episode after the pilot, the 2-part pilot.
And you can tell because Sawyer has his Sawyer hair.
Yeah, why is that? And
not the bad hair.
Whatever you say, Doc.
It's also called Tabula Rasa, which is also one of the best episodes of Buffy.
So it was Kate episode. I forget that she was like the first one that had like a and because also last week was kind of a Kate episode.
a little bit, yeah.
So she's the criminal. The guy with the shrapnel in him is the air marshal, and that's sort of the like crux of the A plot is that he tells Jack that she's dangerous and not to be trusted, and Hurley knows about this, and then they're contrasting it with them on their like expedition, and they decide because Sawyer has a gun, and so they decide to give it to her because she's the most seemingly innocuous like one.
Even Jack towards the end says she's 120 pounds soaking wet, and I'm like, I mean, but dude is like mortally wounded. I think she could manage something.
Well, because I wonder why. Well, Boone's the one. He takes it on himself to stay up late and stand guard. And it seems like he has this idea in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get, but he's not even trying to get the gun. He's getting like a knife from
No, he's
Sawyer.
Getting the clip because they disarmed the gun. So he's getting the like bullets.
We get another glimpse at like funny Shannon where because he's like has the gun and he's like, well, I feel like I should have it. And she was like,
please, you've never even held a gun. He doesn't believe in guns. He goes on marches.
I don't go on marches. Give it back to me.
There's something about the he goes to marches part that's so funny.
Also, what marches were we having in 2004?
There's always been.
Well, of course, there's always marches, but like for a person in Boone's situation to be going to a march.
That's why it's so funny.
Okay,
it's character informing that he's like his principles are worthless. Like he has. That's what I wish she was more like. I wish she was more cutting because it's like that's his version of like. Of like change or helping out making a big scene but not actually doing anything. We get Sawyer starts throwing out the nicknames. He's called Kate Freckles for the first time.
Yeah. We get a like Freckles, a Blondie, like there's all kinds and there's like the more racist ones.
Yeah, give it to Al Jazeera. He'll protect
Al Jazeera's a network.
Yeah, that feels differently. That goes down. Because he calls him Abdul.
Yeah.
And then Al Jazeera, to which Charlie's...
Al Jazeera's a network, actually.
I like those.
It's like a news outlet. It's like world news.
So they come down from the mountain and Sayid kind of instructs them, rightfully so, that they shouldn't tell everybody about the
message,
the distress call, because it'll take away, like, I mean, you want Lord of the Flies, because that's how you get Lord of the Flies.
It's going to take away all the hope. It's going to cause a panic. It's going to, like, everyone's going to try to be stealing the resources and stuff. It's like,
and Kate does tell Jack, although it seems like she just opts to do it. And I sort of feel like they should have made a like decision to, because he's the de facto leader.
I was gonna say Jack deserves to know, obviously. So I don't know. I mean, we discovered there are deleted scenes wherever your DVD is, because there was like a couple things happening at the end of the episode, and I was like, that was like a whole ass plot though. Like, yeah. So perhaps there was a point where Kate was like, I'm going to tell Jack, though, yeah? And Sayid was like, check mark. 100.
I don't know. It seems like she's making the decision in real time.
It
the
does,
way it's presented. Yeah. But because the whole time you're thinking that, or they're positioning it for us, the audience, to think she's going to tell him about her past. And I find it very intriguing. I like this episode. I'm enjoying the show. But there's a handful of things where it's like, so in her defense, the notion that she's dangerous because she's a criminal is not necessarily, those two things are not necessarily, like, just all because she was in...
All elephants are gray, not all gray things are elephants.
Just because she was in custody does not necessarily mean that she's dangerous. And or does not necessarily mean that she's dangerous to these people.
Also,
because the reality of their situation has changed.
And this U.S. Marshal seems to have a real hard-on for her.
He seems like he's one of those cops that does it for funsies.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't even have to pay him. And so...
I'll just do this for the vibes, y'all.
It's like there's myriad crimes she could have committed that would have no bearing on her ability to be a part of this scenario.
Right.
And so I do find it interesting the way that they sort of dance around it, but very much to that point, when she comes to tell Jack what her crime was, he's like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to know. It doesn't matter here. And that's where I'm like, well, depending on what it was.
It kind of matters.
I was like, tax fraud doesn't matter.
Yeah. Tax fraud doesn't help or hurt you in this, basically, afterlife.
The crime you committed speaks to your character.
Yeah.
And so depending on what, like, because, I mean, maybe she was arrested at one of those Australian gun marches that Boone was at. So it's like, in that regard... she could be an asset. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I really appreciate the way that they like dance around it. But then at the end, I'm like, no, Jack, that was not correct. Yeah, you should know what she did.
It's we've talked about it before in sort of like vague terms, but it's like the reason that like kind of agrarian societies used to work and like or medieval societies where someone has to be like the executioner. It's like that's where you need a sociopath.
So mild spoilers, her crime is she takes the law into her own hands. Her crime is that...
Okay. I still don't remember. I think there is a death, but it's one of those things where where the person is like, I'm a murderer. And it's like, I feel like you let that person die. You didn't actually.
She may or may not have been directly or indirectly responsible for someone's death. And that person may or may not have had it coming.
That's what I'm...
And so in that regard, she's kind of an asset.
Exactly, yeah. Where it's like, are you willing to kill and gut an animal for the safety of all? Then,
or do you have the ability?
Yeah,
like some people aren't able, like because Hurley, as we've said, Hurley has a desire to help. I really am relating to Hurley. I was relating to Shannon more when I was like 19.
Yeah.
And I'm relating to Hurley more now because I would have the desire to want to help and be included, but I would be utterly useless except for morale. You know what I mean? Like everybody would like me, but I would like get in the way.
I get that.
So Sayid sort of, because we do end up with like sort of 5 leaders.
Yeah.
And so this is where Sayid really steps up and he starts like delegating where he was like, we need to, clear the fuselage. We need to like collect rainwater. We need to find medicine, all that stuff.
Well, he also has military training and they teach you how to, I would assume, especially in the Republican Guard, they teach you how to survive in the wilderness a lot more.
And so he like starts dividing people into 3 teams and each team has like a leader and stuff.
Yeah.
They're collecting medicine because Jack is still trying to heal the air marshal. That was annoying to me when I was younger. It's less annoying to me now because I understand the oath. What do they call it?
It's like, I don't know. I don't remember what it... Oh, Hippocratic.
The Hippocratic Oath.
First, do no harm. That's why he can't kill the guy.
Yes. And it's sort of... Yes, I agree with everyone else that that the guy needs to be put out of his misery. And that's the decision I would make. But the thing is that Jack, once he crosses, it's largely symbolic. It's like once we cross that line, things have elevated. Like things have changed.
And also it has a way of snowballing. Like the first time that you like put someone out of their misery,
it's how you can trust a doctor.
What's to stop that bar getting lower and lower and lower?
Precisely. And so I do enjoy that the show does highlight that, even if I don't think they 100% nail it.
It's not perfect, but I do love that Sawyer specifically is like, how many of those pills are you going to give him? The implication being, how many pills are you taking away
that we could use
from future problems to try to save this man who's probably going to die anyway.
Mm-hmm. But again, it's like the reason why Jack works as a doctor and a hero and a Christ figure is because we can rely on him to do that.
Yeah.
And I do love that when the moment comes when Sawyer, we find out, because we think it's going to be Kate, but then it's Sawyer, shoots him. So I forgot that Sawyer sucked. He's terrible in these first few episodes.
So there's also, again, with like vibey spoilers, there's a piece of trivia that says Josh Holloway didn't think it was right that Sawyer should miss from that close. And so that's why they make him need glasses later. There's that plot later where he like needs glasses, and it's to like retcon this, where it's like he missed because he needs glasses.
I kind of love that. Because I agree. Yeah. I don't think Sawyer's that stupid.
Well, a lot of people just don't know that the heart is actually more in the middle than it is to the left.
But also, the person will then still die. Whereas if you shoot them in the head, their brain explodes, so there's no consciousness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you shoot them in the heart, he still has to expire.
Yeah, but it's like pretty immediate.
You know what's more immediate? The head.
Yeah. But you have to get it the right spot in the head, too.
Because the guy was putting up such a fight. It was really difficult.
Well, no. I mean, and he says he asked for it, which I believe he did. Yeah. No, sometimes it can go straight through both your lobes and you're, like, fine. What about Chimney on fucking 911?
Yeah, that's a Ryan Murphy show. Like I'm striking that into law.
It is a thing that can
It also is like a pistol. It's not like a.
Yeah. We don't have like fucking M80s over here.
But so, anyways, I do love that. Because it also kind of neuters Sawyer's character. That it's like you can't even kill this dude. Like, I don't know. I like that. I like striking it and just pretending that it, or like explaining it after the fact. So then Sawyer does, or Jack does do it, presumably with his bare hands, presumably by strangling him. I mean, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, but
yeah, I feel like he's in a few more episodes in other flashbacks, but like, that is so gross. The fact that he's just so hard up to catch her.
Oh, he's masturbating as it's happening.
It's like, and like, I feel bad for the guy, for Ray.
Do I?
Yeah. Well, he's got a hell of a mortgage.
No, I get that, but I don't know. He seems like. I understand that. I understand the desperation, but the Ray that gave this person a job.
Yeah.
Like, that strikes me as maybe Ray has been down on his luck before.
Yeah.
It was Ray, right?
And he is right now in this moment down on his luck.
I also kind of didn't need that.
Yeah.
I didn't need her crashing the car. Because that makes her seem dangerous.
Well,
that makes her seem like you can't. Like,
but it's also like she crashes the car and then wastes all of her time pulling him out of the car when she could have the marshal said, been running away. And
well, also because like they were driving down that like podunk highway in Australia, and then she flipped the car into Hawaii. It was like it was crazy.
Yeah.
That comes up on the show because I remember them talking about like they had certain places where they're like, when we need Washington D.C. it's here. Yeah. When we need San Diego it's here. Yeah. Like Hawaii to San Diego is a lot easier than Hawaii to Los Angeles Washington D.C.
I was gonna say even Los Angeles is whatever, but it's like also at one point it's because Kim Dickens is on this show, and at one point it's supposed to be Texas with Sawyer, or Texas or like Missouri or something, and I was like flat as a pancake. And they're shooting in Hawaii.
We have Michael is on his quest to find Vincent.
Yeah.
And Walt does tell him about his friendship with Locke, and Michael is concerned about it, but it doesn't seem to be for the same reasons I was.
No, because he basically is like, he's like, what did he tell you? And he's like, I don't know, secret stuff. And he's like,
I mean, there were some, those are.
Well, sure. I mean, but Michael is like, he told you not to tell me. And he's like, no, he just said it was a secret. So.
Oh, the miracle. I forgot.
Yeah.
So Locke spends the whole episode making a whistle.
Yeah.
That's why he's in no rush. Right. Okay. And he makes a dog whistle and gets Vincent and then rightfully, smartfully, helpfully lets Michael bring Vincent back.
Yeah.
But
then he's making creepy eyes at them.
Yeah, that's a production thing.
Yeah.
That was an editing choice. It doesn't have any story based.
Not that specifically, but there is always something going on behind Locke's eyes. And I haven't mentioned it the first 2 episodes, but I love Terry O'Quinn. He was very formative in my childhood. I used to watch this movie called The Cutting Edge about ice skating with Moira Kelly and D.B. Sweeney. And it is so good. He plays Moira Kelly's dad. Amazing. And then he's also in a really, really terrible Lifetime movie called My Stepson, My Lover.
We also have, it's not exactly a meet cute, but we have, because they've met, but we have, what do you call it when it's it's after the meet cute? But it's like along the way.
Yeah, I don't know. Who?
Like 6 different characters. Like, so we have Michael and Son. He sees her bathing, which is actually weirdly one of my favorite tropes. I like it because it's mythological.
Sure. It's also, but it's after Jin has said, "You're filthy, clean yourself."
The Jin, it's like, I appreciate the diversity and that it's interesting, and because that's another place where this show sort of sticks out or is a little bit ahead of its time, is that it's a relatively diverse ensemble.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I'm like, I think that they might have been written with just a little bit more nuance this time, because it's basically he's really aggressive with her and then he's tender, and then he's really aggressive with her and he's tender, and it's like, okay,
it's really hard to toe the line.
So we have that, we have Charlie and Claire spend time together, and then we have it's only once, but it's like a very deliberate shot of Shannon watching Sayid doing being the leader.
It's hot. Girl's got eyes.
So
one of the deleted scenes is that she is looking for her sunglasses the whole episode.
Either they're broken or there's something about that.
Something. And at the end, during the beautiful song montage, Boone brings her a pair of sunglasses.
Well, back to another thing where when the air marshal was like, "Wah!" and she's like, Christ, is he not dead yet? And she's like, which someone would put him out of his, kill him or put him out of his misery. And Boone was like, really humane, Shannon. And you were like,
it is. It's the most humane.
And I just wish she said that.
He doesn't deserve to be suffering. And Jack is talking, his abdomen is rigid. That's a terrible sign.
When they said that, I was like, Christ.
His fever is
Does that kind of mean half of his body's already dying?
Well, it's just because he's bleeding internally. He's got a fever of 104. The antibiotics aren't working. Also, he got hit with a steel briefcase.
They never bring that up.
So he probably still has a persistent concussion. And I'm just like, I would like to die. If that were happening to me.
I wish they just went scorched earth with her, just hard bitch. But they keep kind of, I guess it's the attempt to shading her by making her you don't understand.
Yeah. They just don't do it right. And it's
which is like a thunder cunt.
So that's the thing is I love Shannon because I can see what she should have been. And it's just because she's not that on.
Also, I love view. Maggie Grace, but especially at this point, I don't know that she
at this point in her career.
Yeah,
okay.
That she's the most.
No, she was in that.
I've seen The Mist. Okay.
Okay, yes, The Mist, but she's also in it was like a Dominic Dunn Presents, but Christopher Maloney was in it too, about the
Epiphany.
Yeah. About the Martha Moxley murder. The Kennedy cousins killed her.
She said the word epiphany sounds like icicles
breaking. Yeah.
That's a really evocative line.
Good line. That's also like a pretty good made for TV movie. Yeah, I liked it.
So I think that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. It's a good show. These are good episodes.
I'm feeling better. I'm always nervous when because remember Gossip Girl, I was dragging my feet as well.
Yeah.
True Blood, I was a little bit more ready to dive in, but
okay, the thing about True Blood is it knows what it is from so early and it makes no bones about it.
So I'm the most excited at the prospect of revisiting Desperate Housewives, but that seems to be the one that people are the least nostalgic for. I feel like it's bound to have a renaissance.
Sure.
Like maybe any minute now.
Maybe we will be at the forefront
that's what I'm thinking.
of the Desperate Housewives renaissance.
Because it's kind of like how the Golden Girls and Designing Women got real popular. And because Mark Cherry wrote on Golden Girls. So.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
So, yeah. So, all right. Well, bye.
Bye.